A wonderful good day, YouTube. It's time for a rather unusual video. It's not the guess, but the map review, because I'm part of the judge team for the 4v4 map contest from Mr. Greyshot. And yeah, let's review the map and form an opinion. The first map is made by Tobbe and it's called Inferno. It's a desert map, and I wrote some general pointers down. And yeah, let's go straight into it. First of all, it's a desert map. And I like that we're keeping to the Code 3 theme with desert and Italian map so far. Or it's one of those either. And not just a Code 2 map revamped. Like, it's not a bad thing to do, obviously, but I think some fresh idea is always nice. But obviously those are not really that important. Meanwhile, we let the AI cap a little bit and then can we talk over that. So the cutoffs, I think, could be done better because there are not really cutoffs. Yeah, this point cutoffs, this point, and this point, which is nice. Obviously, it's the cutoff for the whole top part, but I feel like it's really defensive because it's a point directly in front of the base, so you basically will never lose it. And in my opinion, team game maps need really good cutoffs, so the game becomes less static and more mobile. Otherwise, it's just nothing is happening. Because when it's easy to hold resources, well, nobody will really take any risks there. The VP layout was really nice. Standard co-VP layout, I would say. Or that what the community agreed on is really good. We have 3 VPs in a row with the same distance to every base, so there are no home VPs, unlike we have on Twin Beaches or like in Code 1 you would say like on Angleville. But yeah, that's really good. Then what I would say might be an issue, but it's hard to judge. I need to do like some playtesting on it first to figure it out. But because it's a desert map, there are not really any shot blockers or side blockers besides like the occasional hill over there. I think if it worked like a shot blocker, side blocker. MGs, AT guns, and snipers will rule, and that might cause some balance issues down the line, especially like factions which don't have a sniper can struggle on this map, like Duck or the Brits. Then AT guns and MGs will be really prevalent, so factions that don't get easy access to rocket artillery or good indirect fire early on can suffer a lot in the early game. Units that provide a lot of vision will be broken, basically giving the opportunities to long-range sniper units to deal the damage with any sort of spotting. Can cause some issues. I feel like that might be a problem. And another thing that I think needs to be reworked, or not really reworked, it's just a minor map layout issue, is those fuel points. It's like basically you should mirror them, so you have like fuel over here, then there's fuel over here as well, and then the ammo point switches basically with the fuel point. Makes it more desirable to go each side, so basically each side is equally good, because at the moment you have you get 15 fuel from, no, only 10 fuel from here, but you also get 10 fuel from here, and you get 10 ammo from here, if I'm not wrong. If my math checks out, yeah, should be like that, and that feels like not really fair, because this side obviously is then slightly better than this, especially since you have also the 16er ammo over here and not here. So some points need to be switched around. In my opinion, all the high resource points should be more towards the middle anyways, and the low resource points should be like safer, because in the end you want to fight for the high resource points to gain advantage, and if all the high resource points are safe, it makes it hard to lock down games, make it really easy to come back, and make sometimes even for some unfair comebacks where you think like, oh, I should have won this, but I was not really able to kill the enemy because it's so hard to get the final resource points, which are actually adding some value. That should be reworked, but overall I like this map. If I should give a pointing, like from without playing it, the initial pointing would be like 7 or 6 out of 10. So 5 is basically an average map, which you complain about it, but you are fine with, and everything above means it's better than that. And I would say that will be, without playing it, would be like a decent map to play on, where you will complain about the long range, but you can deal with it, because most factions have every tool in the layout, so that will work. So let's jump straight into the next here with the second map, called Traverses. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly, by Espis. And I have to say I don't like that map that much, because bridges. But hear me out. Because why I dislike bridges? Because bridges create choke points and artificially making the map smaller, because you basically have to go over the bridges if you want to attack, and you have only like 1, 2, 3, with the middle 4, and this is also 1, 5 ways over the other side all the time with tanks, and then you have to add those small infantry bridges as well. So crossing the map, like, it's really hard, because like MG over here locks down this area, and an AT gun makes it like nearly impossible for tanks and infantry to get over, especially in the current meta. Then, those things also create another issue. It does not matter how good your point layout is with the resources and the cutoffs. There will never be a fighting about the resources. There will be always a fighting about the objectives, the bridges, because the player who holds the bridges would immediately gain control over this area. And this makes the game really stall and not movable. Like, the engagements will be really, really boring, and it does not promote the playstyle of Co, in my opinion. But that's another thing to discuss. The other thing I really dislike is the VP on the bridge. We had that on a couple of maps. In Co 2 in the past, like on map like Crossing in the Woods, but also now in Co 3 with, I forgot the name of the 2v2 map, but there's this urban one, which I am also not a big fan. And it always creates the same issue. It's so hard to get the VP in the later stage of the games, because like there will be so much shit coming down, like artillery or MGs covering and so on, that it's nearly impossible to get this area, because you can't push through here, because like I said, it's a choke point, easily defendable. Therefore, it's not easy to get this control over this VP. Then the other thing I take issue with are the houses. Obviously, I need to do more. I would need to do a real play testing to make the better judge, or to get better judgment of the houses. But I have to say I would always be careful with houses, because houses are better than green cover at the moment. Therefore, you have to keep in account that houses like this house will make it impossible to gain control over this area without direct fire, because you can't flank it. An MGB over here, since it has 4 windows here, it will be 4 windows shooting from here. Then you have, because of the angle of the houses, maybe those 2 windows will also be able to fire. So, and you also get like more range on MGs, if I remember correctly. And you get the height advantage. It's not fun. You need indirect fire to dig them out. And you could argue, yeah, every faction has a mortar, right? It's kind of true. Like, some factions get earlier access than other factions access to mortar, and in my opinion, early games should not be dictated by indirect fire, but by infantry engagements, and the indirect fire just should support the infantry fights, and not like this, where it would be the main dominating opponent, basically. So overall, I'm not a big fan of this map. Art style wise, it looks amazing. Them details around everywhere, the truck, the lighting, this thingy, I forgot the English name for this thingy. It's nice, but everything else, it does not feel like a Co map, that's the thing. It's not fitting into the DNA of a Co map, how it should be played, and so on. So it will be really frustrating to play on it competitively, even casually. I like if you ultra casual and want to do one of those infamous bridge maps fights where you just sit there, destroy the bridges, and then sit there. Yeah, then it's fine. But otherwise, it will be not the fun map. It will be like Sita Summer or something like that. It would be basically be Sita Summer Deluxe, because keep in mind you can destroy those bridges. I tried that. It took me 2 rifleman demos to destroy the big bridges, which is 35 ammo a piece, and the upgrade is like 100 manpower and like 15 or 20 fuel, so it's really cheap. And then you can create even more choke points. And I tried to repair the bridges with engineers, and it took forever. So it's not really an option to repair the bridges then. I don't think this is a really good co-map. Art style wise it's amazing, and for ultra casuals who just want to do like bridge fights against their AI where they build a big defensive line and just see the waves of their AI crush against their defense, maybe then it's fun, but not for auto match, definitely not. So it's just because it looks nice, I will give it 3 out of 10 points. So let's go straight into the next map. And here we go, the third map now, made by the Swings, and it's called Steps. And if you remember, there's a Code 2 map called Steps. And if you look closely, it resembles Steps pretty well, or I would say 90%, 95%, with, remember, this area or the middle VP, which is was in Code 2, not the VP, but the viewpoint. Then here as well, this area. You should think this is the bottom area of the island, but obviously in the desert there are no islands, so it's just a desert, which is nice, I would say. And yeah, the first point, it's a desert map, so that's nice. And to continue on it, even though it's a desert map, it does not feel empty. It feels like filled with life and still has desert theme going, like you have a small village over here, which obviously won't be that impactful gameplay-wise, like the villages in the OG map in Code 2, but still give like some nice detailing work, which I really like. And overall, like other things, you have a lot of side blockers, shot blockers, which are integral part of the map, which make it less campy, hopefully, where MGs and snipers and so on won't be as oppressive, hopefully. Then yeah, let's continue with the first thing I would change is the VP layout. Both sides have a VP that favors one of them, and I'm not sure if I like that. In my opinion, all VPs should be neutral and not no home VPs, because especially in Co, or maybe in Co 3 you can make an argument with the higher tick rate that you want to have a home VP, because otherwise in the triple cap the game will be over really quickly. But I still feel like if you get triple capped you should get punished. So yeah, home VPs are not the thing that I like. This VP could have some issues depending on how far. Actually, let's test that. If you can walk over here, let's spawn a unit. Wait, is it there?
Moving to new destination. We got somewhere to be.
Can you move up? No. So that's actually not too shabby, but the high ground will probably be really oppressive over here. So that can cause some issues. But overall, I like this map. And which is interesting also on the other hand, always finish 1/4 at the time, that there are no high resource points. So there are a lot of points, but none of them is a high resource point. This is interesting, and actually all the fighting will take around ammo points, and that's something I would change, because ammo is not really a attacking resource, so it gets more important in a longer game than in the short game. So basically in the first, I don't know, 15 minutes or whatever, or 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you always want to get fuel control and not ammo control, because obviously you want to tech up, you want to get the unit, and they always cost fuel and not ammo, and ammo is just an upgrade resource or an ability resource, so no, in the earlier stages of the game not as important. Therefore, keeping all the fuel points as home points could be changed. Maybe mix it up and have more fuel points in the middle. That would be great. And yeah, overall I would say I'm not sure. I'm kind of split between 7 out of 10 or 6 out of 10. Because I need to play it first to get a proper feeling for it, but in the first round of this tournament, if you want to call it, I don't have time to play like 10 maps. I will try to organize groups to play them, but I can't promise I will get all maps played. But oh yeah, I should, like, since I said in the first map that I'm in favor of not recreating maps from Code 2, I should like deduct 1 point. So let's say we are 7 out of 10, then it would be 6 out of 10. But since it's really not code, it does not look 100% like Step, it has still its own touch. The layout is slightly different. There is not this little island, and it's really a desert map with its own feature, not like an Italian themed steps. I will only deduct 0.5 points, so we are in the end sitting at 6.5. So yeah, let's go into the next map. And here we go, it's time for the next map, which is called King of the Hillbo Shadow Frag. And I have to admit, I don't have many nice things about this map, because that's not a core map. That's just a map which is really empty, or it does not feel like finished. It feels not finished. Feels really empty, and with resources thrown around. For example, what's this? Those both islands. Basically capture, destroy the bridges, and then you have save 50. Same goes over here. This can't be a thing. Then you have this middle area, which has like insane houses. Imagine putting an MG over here with the high ground bonuses and so on. It's incredible. We will never get the middle area, especially since we have such an awkward way up. The points layout does not make much sense. It just feels randomly thrown together. Also, because it's such a narrow map, it will be extremely will turn into insane stalemates, because it will be only a fighting towards the middle, always. So yeah, like it's like 1 point out of 10. This is not the core map, not even like close. With the Inferno map, you could like, not Inferno, sorry about like the Bridges map, Traverse. You could argue, yeah, it's a bridge map, but at least it like was closer to the core formula. But this is not even close. It's really, really far away. So sadly, I don't have much to say about this map. It needs like rework from the ground. Everything needs to be changed. So sadly, not many nice things to say. But yeah, let's go straight into the next map. And the next map is called Oasis Depot by Springer. Springer or Springer? Something like that. I hope I didn't butcher your name too much. And my first impression of the map, it looks amazing. It really has this Oasis feeling, with, even though it's in the desert, because it's close to the Oasis, there are a lot of trees and bushes. Not sure how realistic that is, but I don't care about such things. And also the map feels has some nice shot blockers and side blockers, at least from the look, from the first glance. But yeah, there are sadly more points about this map where I'm not really happy with it. First of all, bridges, again. And you might disagree with me, which is fine. But I feel, I can't stress it out enough, bridges create choke points, and choke points are often unfair. Like this bridge, obviously, probably does not matter, because when you're already beaten down to this area as a defender, then the bridge is one of your least problems. So that's fine. But those bridges, you have one. If you are generous, you can count those two pathway also into the middle area, but that's it. And I feel like that's an unfair advantage. The other thing that I dislike is the amount of houses, or certain houses. Like this one probably gets a good overwatch over this area. Is this also a path? Nope, it's not. This house, yeah, and this house, like, keep in mind those flat top houses, all the squad members can shoot from it. So like an MG over here would cover perfectly this area and this area. And then, like, even if you, like, imagine you lose this position whatsoever for whatever reason, and then you get pushed down to this area. Have fun digging him out. Especially with a faction like Wehrmacht or USF, where you don't desire to get an early flamer or no flamer whatsoever. Yeah. Then the other thing, I can't say I dislike the resource layout, but I also can't say that I like it. It feels weird to me. The cutoffs are definitely no real cutoffs. Like, yeah, it looks like they cut resources, but I don't think you will lose those cutoffs. Therefore, they don't cut anything. Like this cutoff. When you contesting this cutoff, you already kept all those resources, or at least often. So at best, you are cutting a 10 ammo point and a 5 ammo point. So only 15 resources get cut realistically. Those points will be probably in your control. So you're investing a lot of resources to cut 15 ammo. Congratulations, you achieved nothing. And this cutoff, you can probably make a better argument for this cutoff. That will be probably cut more because you're playing like from this angle, so hard to judge. VPs look fine, even though, as you can see, the AR is already more focusing towards the middle where more resources are. So you basically have like one squad AFK capping this side, on this side, and then everyone goes for what's here, because it will be like a really like objective heavy game where you need to get control over those houses or this area to pull ahead. So overall, a nice map from the looks, and it has a lot of potential, but it needs some reworking. Maybe make it like in Co 2 with Crossing in the Woods, where on the flank sides where you have like this river going and the Crossing in the Woods, but you can traverse it everywhere, so it just looks nice, but it has no impact on the gameplay. Like here, you know, this whole area, even though it's water, you can like walk over it, so it's fine. And the other thing I have to point out, certain green covers feel really, really unfair in combination with the high ground. It's basically impossible to attack into this area as attacker, because green cover over here, which is also because of the wire, it only works into the defender's favor from the bottom side. And you have, I think, slight elevation, but it's probably already enough to trigger the elevation bonus. Same over here. Here, at least you have some green cover, but you have more here. And yeah, so it's probably an issue. I still hang to the rule, like we did in Code 2, that less green cover is better. You just work with yellow cover. There is yellow cover in the game, right? I'm just not having a brain fart or so. Yeah, obviously there's no green, yellow cover. Sorry about that. Ah, there is yellow cover, look. Here. So I think if you have the majority of yellow cover like here, it would be better than everywhere green cover, because green cover obviously slows down the gameplay, and Code 3 is already rather, or compare, slower, which is not a bad thing, not a bad thing, but I feel like less is better. But for that I need to play the map and get the feeling about it. So yeah, I would say it's a 4 out of 10. It's a map, if it would be in the auto match pool, you would put your veto on it. So it could make it would be an auto match map, but you would not understand why it is one, and then you would veto it. So let's jump straight into the next map, shall we? And the next map is called Tobruk and is made by Mr. Oz. And I forgot to turn on the VPs, which is bad because now you can't see them. But that's fine because one VP is over here, one VP is in this area, and the other VP is over here. And then let's start right away with the VPs before I get some general thoughts going, before we forget that. The VPs, I think, are fine. You could think about that there's a little bit too much of a defender's advantage on this side, but there's also far away for this side to attack this VP. So even though there's elevation, it probably can cause issues, especially with those garrisons. I think garrisons plus VP should be always a no-go. Same goes for the middle with this mosque, or is it just a normal building? I have no idea. Which is really unfair when you consider that the VPs over here, like, put an MG over here and till, I don't know, minute 6, 7 or 8, this VP is covered and safe. This area feels a little bit awkward to maneuver, but it's hard to judge how like close range squad will perform over here. Obviously that will be like close range squad heaven, so that can be issues, but I don't know yet. It's hard to say. But yeah, overall I like this map. It has great potential. High ground can be or will probably cause issues on some points, like this area with the cutoff, because the attacker has a really big advantage over it. It has green cover. The defender has nothing here. That will be probably unfair, especially with the high ground in position in combination. Then you might move this point up like over here, so it's easier to attack and then remodel this area or something like that. Overall, I like the cutoffs. It actually is one of, not the first map that from the maps that I've reviewed with cutoffs that actually work as cutoffs, but they're already not that bad. Slight rework is not needed. Then I would shuffle around the resource points again. In my opinion, the high resource point, as mentioned previously, should be more in the middle, so you are fighting for the high resource points and not for the low resource points, and then you don't get that much punished if you don't control them because you already have the high resource points in the backline holding. So yeah, overall, though, a great map. I would say we're in the current stage with the houses, which are a big deal on the VPs. It's a 6 out of 10, but it has a lot of potential there going. So next map, please. Alright, let's continue with the next map called Crossing the Volta River from Smackman. And I have to say I don't like this map. It's not as bad as King of the Hill, but it's close. First of all, split bases are a no-go. Like a huge no-go. Then you're splitting the map in basically 3 parts, which I dislike. Because imagine you get, for whatever reason, like this side has a weaker link player or whatever, and you lose control, they like get cut off on this area, and then they will be mega frustrated. Then this VP, it's only accessible by this path, so it obviously favors this side because you have just an MG has to sit over here and it's automatically covered because only one way, so even more choke points. Then we have more than 3 VPs, which is also a no-go. 3 is the standard for an obvious reason. Then the cutoffs, which don't work as cutoffs, they are just randomly thrown around, because this point, it looks like a cutoff, but this point gets connected over this point, therefore it does not cut them, because those points are then automatically connected to the base. Same goes for the ammo point and the fuel point over here. Same obviously over the other side. This cutoff also cuts nothing. So yeah, cutoffs that don't work as cutoffs are not nice. Then elevation, feels really, really unfair as well. Certain cover layouts. Then you have a salvageable half-track, which is not great. Like Duck can like pick the doctrine and then they get 6 fuel from the going, which is unfair. Overall, the salvageable wreckages should not be an issue. Imagine the USF player goes for the Armored Company doctrine, gets the recovery vehicle really early on, which is it? It's 1 CP, and then for 42 fuels, he gets an Hellcat. Way before everyone else could get. Obviously, Hellcat is only a tank destroyer, so not as bad. But it also would be immediately Veteran C1 because of this one. So it could use the indirect fire ability, and then it could be an issue there, depending on how good this is in a certain balance patch. It's not a good map. Aesthetic-wise, it looks amazing. It's a really big map. Maybe too big. But you can say that about any 4v4 map sometimes. I can't judge that. I think, according to the rules, all the maps needs to be the same size, so that's fine. Yeah. It's... Because I gave King of the Hill 1 point, 1 out of 10, I will give this map 2 out of 10. But it's not a really good co-map. It's not a map for auto match, and God forbid for competitive play. So yeah, let's jump straight into the next map. And the next map is called Italian Beach Landing, and it's made by Hollards. And it looks nice, but that's also one of the few nice things I have to say sadly about this map. First of all, look at the garrisons. Have fun taking control of this area to dig out someone there. Especially with those huge elevation issues that we will face. And then look into the middle. That map reminds me of the 2v2 map Düsseldorf in Code 2, which was a menace to play on. It was not fun. I also think because of the insane amount of houses, it causes performance issues for weaker machines. But I'm not sure. Then you have those small compartments which you don't want to fight for. Yeah. Like, it looks amazing, right? Like this castle ruin. But you have to imagine, like, MG over here, and then you won't get into that. Then you don't have real cutoffs, which does not make fun. So you are forced to go into this area if you want to deny the resources. You can't play around them. Then you have a steep elevation over here, which gives the defender, which already has an advantage, an even bigger advantage. Non-working cutoffs. Then you have the bridges, which might be not an issue actually, because you have like, you can switch the side easily. You have split bases, which is not a good thing. Also, those bases are closer together than this one, which is also an unfair. Why is it unfair? Because here... Okay, USF and Wehrmacht one team. Great thing. But yeah, you could build here a hill, like a med bunker or whatever, and then both players benefit from it easily. And here, that's just not possible, the distance, man. Ain't happening on... Yeah, and then the bridges aren't that bad, but still VP on the bridge, which does not get displayed, which is nice. So if you want to tech, probably when you use tech map, where's tech map? Tech map? Oh, you maybe can't click on it to cap it, but yeah, switching. You can't even use tanks here, right? That's a weird looking bridge. Properly, I feel. Maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, switching sides will be so awkward, and then with this steep elevation, where like close range squads will raid you, you can't fight them with tanks because of this whole thing. It's one of those demo maps, I would say. It looks amazing, it shows off what you can do with the workshop, or with the tools, world builder tools, but you don't want to play on it. But since it's closer to the core formula than King of the Hill, it will also get 2 out of 10 points. And let's continue with the last 2 remaining maps. And here we go. Sadly, I had to combine the last 2 maps into one going because Sherman Fields by Artelis is obviously not finished. It's basically just an empty field with a few points scattered around. So there's nothing to review. I'm terribly sorry, but that's a 0 out of 10 because it's nothing. It's empty. Besides, like, there's a building here or maybe a tree there, but that's nothing. There's really nothing. So we are going straight into Hill 209 or 209 from GB Pirate. And so far, it's the map that I like the most. Maybe this is the map that I like the second most, because Steps is also there, which was really nice. But this map has everything, and we should maybe enable the AI so we see some moving there. First of all, the VPs are nice. Straight line, as I like. Maybe this area could use a slight rework because, I don't know, that could cause some awkward pathing, but I'm not sure. Would need to play that to make sure. But the VPs are nice. And I have to say, that's the thing that I like the most. The cutoffs are amazing. You could maybe move them up slightly to make it easier to attack them. But they are working, and like it makes them objectives to play for them. You can go for this area, make pushes over here to deny resources. It's really, really good because this cutoffs cuts the whole top part. So if you come from here and want to intercept, you can cut this and you actually get something from it. I like that. Then there are, I think those rocks work as sight and shot blockers, which is amazing. So even though it's a desert map, which tends to be really open, it's still not overly open, but it's still a really open map. So basically those, you have to see how this plays out in the long run. But overall, I like it. Then I like the rest layout. You have a good mix of all the resources. You have some safe resources over here, but you have also some resources over here. Maybe you could make those 2 points a high fuel point. So holding the middle is an incentive, or make the bottom ones high resource. Something like that. So going for the flanks makes more sense. So, and then playing for the cutoffs would be nice. Something like that. Basically, maybe move this fuel over here or something. Make it a high resource point. And remove then the fuel. And make this also over here. Make it a high resource point. Something like that. But those are minor things. But there's one thing that should be removed. And those are those mine patches. Not because they can go off. But because they are counted as non-playable area, which I can highlight to you because it feels really unnatural. I want to click inside of it, and they don't go there. So it feels really unnatural, and it's something you definitely need to get used to. And I'm not sure if it's something that you should get used to that, especially because you want to path back with a tank, and then you get stuck and die. So yeah, and let's do one more test. If those work as nope, and they don't work as line of sight blockers. So they're basically pathing blockers, but don't affect the gameplay otherwise as shot blockers or sight blockers. So yeah, that's not that nice. But overall, I like it. Once those are removed and minor adjustments to the cutoffs, which are, you can argue, are not needed, and the rest layout, they're really up to argue if they need to be changed or not. It's a really nice map, and I'm really looking forward to playtesting that. So I would give it a 7 out of 10. And yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. That was the first round. I hope I get enough time to playtest all of those maps, at least the maps that got more than 5 points, because the other maps I'm not feeling comfortable playing. At least not how they look, otherwise, because they will be extremely frustrating to play. And feel free to add any comments and thoughts about the maps in the comments. That was a huge brain lag. I'm terribly sorry. And feel free to drop a subscribe on YouTube. Drop a thumbs up if you like what you saw. And don't forget to check out Greyshot's Discord for more information about the contest. And yeah, thanks for watching everyone, and see you next time. Bye bye.